Okay. So what is instance variable? So any variable which is having self dot, okay, so self dot some variable name, that is called as instance variable. Okay, so every object has its own set of instance variable. So remember, instance variables are object specific. Instance variables are object specific, so that you have to remember. Okay, so every object has its own set of instance variables. So what is the meaning of this? We'll see with one example. Okay, so now I have created a class, so class called test. So I have created a class called test. So now inside this class, what I am doing, I am creating a init method. Okay, so now inside this init method, so how many variables do I have? So how many variables do I have? So 4. So what is this x? So local variable. What about y? What about x? What about z? Instance. So can local variable and instance variable have same name? Yes or no? Okay, so remember, instance variable and local variables can have same name. So there is no problem in that one. Is it clear? Okay. Now after that, I am creating an object. I am creating a object. So T1 is equal to test. So 200 comma 150. So now tell me what will be stored inside X? So 200. What about Y? 150. Is it clear? Now what will be stored inside X? So X will be X plus Y. So this X is instance variable or local variable? So what is stored inside X? So X is nothing but 200, Y is 150. So X plus Y. So 200 plus 150 is 350. So 350 will be stored inside X. But when? So when this particular line of code is executed, correct? No. So when I'm writing T1 is equal to test. So now tell me inside RAM what all operations will happen. So assume this is my RAM memory. So what all operations will happen inside the RAM? So first of all, it will create a variable called T1. So T1 variable is created. So once T1 variable is created, what it will do? So it will move to right hand side. On the right hand side, it will create the object. So I assume this is my object. Okay, so this object is created at the memory location 0x100. Now after this, what it will do? So it will return back the address. So that address will be stored inside T1 variable. Now inside this T1 variable, this address 0x100 is stored, and it will be pointing to this particular object. Correct? Now after this, what it will do? So it will call the variables. So it will call the constructor. Correct? No, it will call the constructor. So now this init method will be called. So now when this init method will be called, so this particular value, so 200 will be given for x, so 150 for y. Now after that, so what kind of variable is this? X, self dot x. So where will be this variable created? So where will be this variable created? So inside the where? Constructor or object? So inside the object, it will create a variable. So what variable? X. So what will be the data present inside X? 200. So remember, only self.x, this kind of variable will be stored inside the object. So what is this x storing? 350. After that, z. So what will be stored inside z? So x is 200. So 200 minus 150 is 50. So is it clear? Is this clear? So you can see same thing here. Okay. So object is created. So object is created in some particular address. So it will be storing that particular address inside the variable. t1, correct? No, now it is having two variables, x which is having value 350 and z is having value 50. So remember, whichever variable is having self, okay, so that only those kind of variable will be stored inside the object. So you can read here. So every object has its own set of instance variable. So every object has its own set of instance variable. Okay. Now what I will do, I will write T2 is equal to test 100 comma 50. Now tell me what it will do. So it will create one more object. So it will create one more object. So the address will be given. So it will store it is own variable. So own x and own y. So what is the value of x? So 150. What is the value of y? 50. Correct? No. So this 100 will be passed to x, 50 will be passed to y. So x plus y is, so 100 plus 50, 150. So 150 will be stored to x. So you can see x is having 150. Similarly y, so 50. So all these things are done. Okay. So now tell me, so this x and this x are both same. Okay, so you have to remember this point. Okay, so this x are different. Okay, similarly this z and this z, is it same? Okay, so both are not same. So this x belongs to object 1, this x belongs to object 2. Okay, now tell me, how can I print this x? Correct? No, so you have to check. So in which object it is stored? So in which object it is stored? T1. So if I want to print this 350, so what I have to print? So I have to write print. So after print, so T1 dot x. So when I write T1 dot x, so how it will search? So first of all, it will search for T1. Correct? No. So where it will search? In the RAM memory. So do I have T1 in RAM memory? So definitely I have T1 in RAM memory. Now what is present inside T1? So some address. Correct? No, some address is present. Now Python will jump to that particular address. That means Python will come here. Now inside this address, it will try to search for x. So do we have x here? So what is the value of x? 350. So this particular 350 will be printed as output. Is this clear? So similarly, tell me if I want to print 150. So how can I write the code? So print T2 dot x. So if I print T2 dot x, what will be the output? 150. Similarly, tell me if I want to print this 50. So how can I print? T1 dot z. What will be the output? 50. Similarly, if I want to print this z, then so T2 dot z. So here, okay, the major takeaway from this slide is, so here you have to understand, okay, so every, okay, so every object will have its own set of instance variable. Okay, now I will ask you one question. Okay, now if I am creating 100 object, if I am creating 100 objects, so how many number of x will be created? So each object will having its own set of x and y. So this point you have to understand. Is it clear? Is it clear? Everyone? Is it clear? Yes, no, some response? Yes. So how long this object? Okay. So how long means, see, how long means, so till the memory, till the program is getting executed. Okay. Till the time when you get the output. So once you get the output and once you close that particular window, so after that everything will be deleted from the memory. Because again, okay, so if it's not getting deleted, so once you again re-execute the program, so you may get some error, right? So that will not happen. Okay, so once the program is completely executed, all the memory will be cleaned. Okay, So I think I have clarified your doubt. Okay, so this is all about instance variables. Is it clear now? So where you are supposed to create instance variable? Inside the constructor. Okay, inside the constructor. So are you supposed to print anything inside the constructor? Okay, so remember this point, you are not supposed to print anything inside the constructor. Okay, so what is the problem? Okay, what is the problem when you are printing in the constructor? Okay, now I am creating 100 object. I am creating 100 object, but I want to print only 10 details. I am creating 100 object, but I want to print only 10 student details. So you are given some task, right? So that in that task, what is a task? So you have to create 2 object and you have to print 2 student details, correct? No, but I am giving you new requirement. You are supposed to create 100 object. So in that you are supposed to print only 10 student details. So now if you are printing everything in the constructor, so can you achieve that one? So what you have to do? So you have to write that printing thing inside one method, and using that 10 object you have to call that print method, correct? No, so it will print only 10 object details. Got my point? So if you are printing in the constructor, so if you are creating any object, so that particular thing will be printed, but I don't want to do that one. Is it clear now? Got the example, right? So whatever I explained, got or not? So do I want to repeat again? So do I need to repeat? Not required, right? Okay, so is this clear now? Instance variable, yes or no? So let's see what is next. Okay, so remember we have one more type of variable. Okay, we have one more type of variable that is called as class variable. So now can you get some idea which kind of variable is called as class variable? So the variable which is created inside class but outside method. Got my point? The variable created inside class but outside method is called as class variable. Okay, so we will see more about class variables tomorrow. Okay, so we will see more about class variables tomorrow. Okay, so whatever you have discussed, so practice all those things. Okay, so why I'm telling all these things? Because it is very much important. Okay, so I can see many of you are not practicing, so because of that you are getting the same result. Okay, so because of this only you are not able to write the code also. So what I suggest, so you practice. Okay, so whatever you are learning, same day you practice. Okay, because so next day it will be piled up. Okay, so what you will do, you will practice whatever you learned today, so yesterday's thing you will forget. Okay, so don't do all these things. So whatever you're learning, so practice on the same day, so you will remember for a long time. Is it clear? Okay, so this class variable we'll see tomorrow. Okay, so all these things we no need to do. Okay, so Python is very smart. Okay, so it will do automatically all these things. Okay, so we no need to bother about all these things. Okay, Keswarao, so we no need to delete the objects. Okay, so it will be done automatically.